All right, so hopefully that illustrated for you how you can shape a person's behavior towards that which you find desirable by giving them an outcome that they want. Another type of reinforcer would be a negative reinforcer. Now, it's really important for me to reiterate here. Remember, positive means plus sign, that means add. It doesn't mean that it's good. Negative means minus sign, that means subtract. It doesn't mean that it's bad. So a negative reinforcer would be to remove an undesirable condition. Remember, we're trying to strengthen the behavior that it follows. We want them to do these behaviors again, right? So we want to take away something that they don't like so that they'll want to do this behavior again. So for example, Tylenol is a negative reinforcer, or aspirin, or whatever you use for headaches, because it takes away your headache pain. So you're more likely to follow the behavior of taking Tylenol next time you have a headache when it successfully takes away your headache. I think headache's a great example though, because I'll bet a lot of you don't use something like Tylenol to remove a headache. You try something else. Maybe you drink something caffeinated, or maybe you eat something because you get headaches when you're hungry, or maybe you get a headache because you're dehydrated, so you just drink regular water, or maybe you close your eyes, or maybe you have something that you do when you have a headache because you know that maybe you stop looking at the computer screen because you realize that this gives you a headache. Whatever you do is probably on a negative reinforcement plane because it's taking away your headache, and that's why you do that behavior that you do in your effort to take away a headache, because in the past it's worked. In the past, it has taken away the undesirable condition. So you've been negatively reinforced for that. It's the same thing for applying sunscreen. If you've ever had a really bad sunburn, I'll bet you're more likely to really reliably put on your sunscreen because you want to avoid an undesirable condition. If you've never had a really bad sunburn, you might be less motivated. You might be like, yeah, I'll put it on if I remember. I won't if I forget. And until you get a really bad sunburn. And then you're like, okay, I'm always putting on my sunscreen when I'm in this circumstance. I was a lackadaisical sunscreen applier until I got a really bad sunburn that gave me sun poisoning. I was sick, physically sick from it. And that shaped me. Anytime I'm out in the sun now for any protracted amount of time, I am wearing sunscreen, that's for sure, because I want to avoid that undesirable condition in the future. Alternative things, again, that are also examples of negatively reinforced behavior related to sunburn might be, staying in the shade because you have gotten sunburn in the past, or wearing long sleeves even when it's hot out because you've gotten so sunburned in the past, or whatever you're doing to avoid that outcome, that's an example of a behavior that has been negatively reinforced. You've been able to avoid the sunburn, so your brain says, let's do that again. I haven't been sunburned, let's just keep doing the things we've been doing. So that's called negative reinforcement. I'll leave you with one last example of that, which is your brain, your vehicle, your car probably has you on a negative reinforcement schedule for wearing your seatbelt. It pings or beeps or buzzes until you lock your seatbelt in place. That's a negative reinforcer. It'll stop making that annoying sound if you'll just use your seatbelt. So it kind of guides you towards the desirable behavior through this, removing of an undesirable condition, the buzzing or the pinging or whatever it's doing. All right. Now that I've explained that to you, hopefully it has corrected something that a lot of people have about the terms positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. A lot of people use the word negative reinforcement when what they really mean is punishment. Punishment is a different thing, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Negative reinforcement is a reinforcer. It's something that the learner actually wants to have happen. They want that undesirable condition to go away. So now that you're completely aware of that, and hopefully you are, I want you to watch this little segment from that same episode of Big Bang Theory, and you'll notice my little header says negative reinforcement ? Because they're going to use the phrase. But now that you know better, I want you to see whether what they are displaying is actually negative reinforcement. So I'll see you on the other side of that.